But like if you were really like you made a little more money, you had a the New Yorker, and you heard the parents talking about like what was in the theater and movies from the New Yorker. But since my family didn't go to theater, I don't either. By the way, I'm not putting them down. I hate the theater, despise it. Nothing against you if you're an actor. I love acting. I prefer movies. In fact, I have another friend who's a genius, and I had a greasy Chinese lunch with him yesterday. I said, let me ask you something. Do you go to the opera or symphony or the theater? No, he said, I hate it. He said, I like to go home at night and lock the doors like you do and watch movies. I said, to me, theater predates Edison. I mean, it predates the motion picture. Why would I want to sit in the theater with someone passing gas in front of me or, perfume or a cough job? Right? I mean, do I want to sit around people coughing and with bad smell? People do smell, and I'm real sensitive. I have a big problem with my sense of smell. I admit it's a disability, but I don't like the scent of other human beings around me. I react to them. That's the point. I have a sixth sense with scent that I can hear things others can't hear. I know you think I'm making it up. I'm not. I can hear things. I'm tuned into stuff aisles and aisles away. I don't like listening. I'm distracted. In my bedroom, I can control the environment. It's like a theater. It's like radio. Why do you think I love radio? It's a controlled environment, right? Lock the doors, turn on the ISDN. It's me and the dog, and I have almost total control unless the system breaks down. So you get what I'm saying or not? Whatever. I think it's a very good article. If you don't like it, we'll move on. We'll talk about Obama. We're going, I'm not talking about Obama. You know everything you need to know about him and more. He's a front man for the Daily Machine in Chicago. It's the 51st Ward. They could care less about America. They don't care if they bankrupt you or turn you over to the enemy as long as they can stuff their pockets. Is there any more I need to say about it? It makes the most corrupt presidency in American history look like a patriotic group. What would you like to talk about? I'd like to talk about this. Right now I'm only talking about this. Bob in New York, WOR, go ahead, please. What's on your mind?
Michael, we have so much in common. Although I'm younger than you are, guess what? It's that Eastern European heritage. It's that dark melancholy that makes me what I am, makes you what
That's right. What am I going to hide it and be cheerful and sunny?
You do carry the weight on your shoulder, but guess what? That's what we were made for. But you know what?
Here's the whole thing is, why do I have to be cheerful? Where is it written that a man is supposed to go through life smiling like a dunce?
Well, that's why you have Stan Getz and the Oscar Peterson trio. And when you feel
let's go to some other realities here. Let's talk about men from other cultures. You look at men from Russia before they become Americanized. Do they walk around with a fixed smile on their face?
No, they walk around with
Look at the men from Mexico. Take a look at their faces, with or without the gangland tattoos. Do they walk around the streets smiling? No, they walk around with a grimness. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, well, that's the nature of human beings. They're grim. The smile is an add-on from A Life with Father.
And you're exactly
So,
right.
In other words, you're a lifetime depressive? You're on medication?
Hey, I'm from the same place.
No, level with me. Are you on medication?
No.
Neither am I. See, I raged against it all my life. Just because you are grim and melancholic doesn't mean you're sick. And by the way, just because a person has complexity doesn't mean that they're conflicted. This is something you have to understand. If you read this profile of me, which I hope many of you will do by buying the magazine, you're going to see things that apparently are conflicted, but they're not conflicted. What they are is complex. And you have to understand that you can be complex without being in conflict. See, in our society today, men are being driven, men and women, of course, are being driven into becoming either one thing or another. Are you a liberal or are you a conservative? Are you white? Are you black? Are you Hispanic or are you Asian? Are you for or are you against? Well, that's not what human beings are. Human beings are a blend of things. Human beings are complex, and only in recent times do we see a desire to hammer us all into one thing or the other. You get it?
I get it.
Sorry, I'm sure you do. So what I'm saying is I'm from another time. I got to admit it. I am not this. I am not that. I'm this and that. I am neither here. I am neither there. I'm here and there. In other words, you can make of me what you want. And so you can say, well, therefore, what are you? I'll say, I'll let you decide, because you can demonize me, as many people do in the media, because what they do is they take words I say out of context and turn them into the whole me. That's not who I am. That's what they did to me in England. They took words that I said, twisted them, took them out of context, and they made me into the equivalent of a murderer who actually killed people. Is that who I am? Have I ever killed anybody? No. You understand what I'm saying to you? So this fellow who did the profile of me in the New Yorker, I think understands what I just said better than anybody who's ever interviewed me. In fact, right now, if I have a minute or two, I'm going to read a few more pieces from the profile of Michael Savage from the New Yorker. Savage abhors animal cruelty, though not as much as he abhors the animal rights movement. And as many listeners know, his interest in the natural world predates his identity as a firebrand. He is a scientist by training, and before he became a talk show host, he was the author of more than a dozen books on alternative medicine. Somehow the years of research made him not a chipper health nut, but a melancholy fatalist, all too aware that every day brings with it a new dose of poison for his beleaguered body. Quote, theoretically, when I get off the air, I should go run, I should walk, I should bicycle, I should do a treadmill, he told his listeners, while lamenting that he never followed his own advice. He offered a synopsis of the night before, quote, the worst thing you could do is go to dinner. I went to dinner. The second worst thing you could do is have 2 drinks. I had 2 beers. The third worst thing you could do is come right home and watch television. I came right home and watched television. I didn't sleep a minute last night. One nightmare after another. He sighed. I'll do the same thing again tonight. So he gets the humor, okay? He gets the gestalt of Michael Savage. But I want to go back to some other parts of it that really are funny. Earlier this year, Savage found himself at the center of a strange international incident after the British government announced seemingly out of the blue that he was on a list of 22 hate promoters who had recently been banned from entering the country. On his show that day, he played God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols and said, the punks had it right. There is no future in England. This punk rock interlude would not have surprised Savage's regular listeners, who know him to be more days than not a marvelous storyteller, a quirky thinker, and an incorrigible free associator. He sometimes sounds less like a political commentator than like the star of a riveting and unusually vivid one-man play. He frequently dumps callers, even he frequently dumps callers, even sympathetic ones, after about a sentence and a half, or a fugitive character out of a Philip Roth novel. Savage seems resigned to the fact that the majority of Americans, including many of his own listeners, just don't get it, just don't get him, and never will. He is a permanent resident of the political wilderness, sending daily dispatches back to the diseased civilization that the rest of us call home. Come on. I haven't read writing as good as this in years. I mean, some of it's not complimentary that's coming up, believe me, and some of it's wrong. There's some errors in here. But the writing is superb. Kay, you did a good job thus far. Let me continue here. I got a minute. When President Obama went to Britain for the G20 summit, Savage devoted a good portion of his show to the dinner menu. He scoffed at the vegetarian options. And then he wondered aloud whether a Bakewell tart was, quote, a lady from one of the side streets. Probably Jackie Smith. And expounded upon his hatred for Irish soda bread, saying, I don't know what the big deal is. It's full of butter and cream. Yuck, very high rate of heart attack in Ireland. All this talk about food made him think about dinner. So he read the menu from a local seafood restaurant. He took exception to the tilapia. That's like pond grown. That's the worst. And to the oyster shooter. Quote, it sounds like a dirty thing to order. He then turned his attention to the frog's legs. He wondered, how could you not feel bad for the frog when you eat that? He compared eating frog's legs to eating chicken. And soon he was immersed in a philosophical soliloquy about his beloved gray poodle, Teddy. My dog is only 11 pounds. What's shocking to me is that my dog's hind quarter, I looked at it the other day when he got wet. I looked at his leg. It looked like a large chicken leg. I got frightened. So I said, how could you eat a chicken and savor it? And the dogs, I can't do it. And I say, then your mind starts running. If you have a kaleidoscopic mind like I do, like what if you were starving, would you eat Teddy? Don't even think about it. I mean, you think about these things. Would you eat him? How would you eat him? Stop it.
Savage. Hi there, we are Armstrong and Getty. We're on every morning 6 to 10 here on 910 KNEW, or download the podcast and listen anytime at 910KNEW.com.